Greetings, my fellow Pipetarians. Welcome to day 11 of the Christmas Advent Pipe Devotional. I didn't get this one out last night. It was just a crazy day yesterday. It's feeling like Christmas, but today I'll do two to catch up, and apologies for that. Today I'm smoking something different, so I'm smoking a different pipe. It's a Missouri Meerschaum corncob pipe, 6mm filter, but the reason why is because I'm smoking something different. I'm smoking Sutliff's Frosty Mint. Frosty Mint. I don't know about you, but I've never had a mint tobacco. I didn't want it to ghost my pipe, my good, little more expensive pipe, so I thought I'll use my corn cobs. Great opportunity for that. It's not a bad pipe here. Smokes well. Nice big bowl. But I think the closest thing I ever came to something minty was when I was a kid and somebody tried to get me to smoke menthol cigarettes. Yuck. But this is strange coming right out of the bag. While you're lighting it, you taste that mint. You wonder if I finish smoking this, will I smell minty or will I smell like tobacco? Oh, or maybe like that movie. What was that movie with the two kids that they swapped places and went to the opposite parents? You know, the little girl sees her grandfather for the first time and says he smells like peppermints and tobacco. That's a good smell to have at a grandpa. Well, anyway, where do we go with what do we call it? Frosty Mint. How do we make Frosty Mint fit into a devotional for Advent? Well, certainly it's very Christmassy. It's kind of frosty around here. I don't think we're going to get snow for Christmas, but I'd rather we had snow than just bone-chilling cold. Anyway, I looked up in the Bible and I thought, now how do we find a frosty passage that fits the whole nativity and Christmas morning story and all that? And you really can't find a whole lot. In one version of the Bible, Zechariah 14 in the NIV, it has the actual word frosty, but that word is not used in other translations, and it's talking about frosty darkness, or it's an end times passage. That didn't sound very appealing for Christmas. But I ran across the Ohio State student newsletter, and somebody in there had taken the story of Frosty the Snowman and turned it into a pointer to the Christ child and the Christmas story. And I thought I would just share that with you because it was interesting. I thought, anytime Hollywood publishes something, or a song comes out, or something's out there that is calling for us for Christmas, that maybe we should make the connection, especially for our kids. So here's how they explain Frosty the Snowman. They said, look, Frosty is a Christ figure. He's a fairy tale, they say, which a lot of people say that about God and Jesus, of course, being God incarnate. He's no a special person, a lot of people say, but in this story, he comes to life one day, and of course Christ comes to the earth. God comes and he comes alive as one of us, puts on human flesh, and kind of like Frosty the Snowman was all snow, and yet he was alive at the same time, and so God puts on flesh, and he didn't cease to be God, but now he had another nature of man. And in the story of Frosty the Snowman, I watched the old episode on TV. I remember it from my childhood. They put a magic hat on him because the magician, who's a terrible magician, just throws his hat away, and a rabbit that was supposed to come out of that hat hops away with the hat, jumps on top of Frosty the Snowman, and boom, he comes alive. So these writers in the student newsletter said, look, this is like the baptism. This is like Jesus comes to John the Baptist. He is baptized, sort of like symbolized by the hat going on his head, but the hat's got magic in it. And like, it wouldn't be magic, but it'd be spiritual. In the time Jesus was baptized, sure enough, the Holy Spirit descended from heaven. It said like a dove, but it came upon him, and then a voice from heaven says, this is my son in whom I'm well pleased. Well, the song in the cartoon says, and then he began to dance around. Well, that's not the first time I've heard that allusion. Lord of the Dance, we've sung at Irish fairs and stuff like that, where the life of Jesus is represented as a big dance. But dance around means simply he began to go around. He began to go around and share the gospel and his message. And it said that Frosty had a broomstick, and they were saying, catch me if you can. And they made the allusion to Jesus in the temple, cleansing the temple of all the money changers, knocking over their tables and throwing them out, because it was supposed to be a house of prayer. And so they see Frosty as that sort of thing. And then Frosty goes to, he leads them right down the street to a traffic cop. And they said that it's the cop just represents government. And Jesus wound up before Pontius Pilate and was condemned to be crucified. And then Frosty, the whole time he was worried about melting away. In fact, in the show, they take him to the North Pole, and the colder temperature is supposed to keep him, but he does eventually melt away. And he says, but he waved goodbye, saying, don't you cry, I'll be back again someday. And of course, Jesus is going to return someday, and the second advent. So there's a little Christmassy, beyond the Christmas story of Frosty the Snowman. I thought that was fun. I mean, it's something that you could tell the kids. You could point out some things. Actually, it'd be a great Awana, VBS, one of those kind of things, where you get the kids to look up the verses that would actually point to all these things. And then they'll pass it on, and and I'll keep drawing attention to the whole reason for the season once again, which is Jesus Christ, God come in the flesh. So I was looking at a couple of other verses in the Bible, and how it could maybe make a connection about frost, being this is a very minty tobacco. As I say, it's a component that you sense right off the bat. Do I like it? Well, I don't not like it. It's just strange, because it's such an overwhelming thing. It really tickles your tongue. But I'll be smoking it in this if I do. And I do have a lot here. I've got 2 ounces of stuff. So I'll put more time into that. Anyway, I'm looking at my book here, some notes that I took. And I was thinking, I hit the word frost again. I didn't get frosty. There's no more frosties, but there's frost all over the Bible. And one thing was something that happened like frost, and that was when Moses took the children of Israel out of Egypt. And, they went through the Red Sea and all that Charlton Heston stuff, right? And wound up in the wilderness. How were they going to eat? And God dropped manna from heaven. In Exodus chapter 10, it talks about this strange substance, this bread out of heaven that just would appear on the ground. And it says in verse 14, when the dew evaporated, fine flakes as fine as frost appeared. So that's where we're going to make our quick leap. The manna appeared as fine frost. I don't know, they collected it though somehow, and would do all kinds of things with it, but it was some kind of food that was completely nutritious and sustained them for years. And so I thought that was very interesting. There's this bread from heaven, sustains the people, brings life to the people. And then Jesus is born in where? He's born in Bethlehem. Bethlehem, that means anything that has Beth in front of it means house. House of bread, Bethlehem. So Jesus is born in the house of bread. When he is speaking in the New Testament as an adult. In John chapter 6, he says, I am the bread that came down from heaven. I am the bread of life. He compares himself to manna. He's the true manna, the true bread of life. And in the Frosty story, Frosty's hat jumps on his head because a rabbit is inside. That rabbit is named Hocus Pocus. And we always associate Hocus Pocus with some kind of witchcraft from, for Halloween or whatever. But Hocus Pocus is really our term. It's really a Christian term. It's Latin, actually, hoc est corpus. Jesus says that every time we do communion. It's a repeat of Jesus taking the bread and saying, hoc est corpus meum. This is my body. And when you do this in remembrance of me. So I thought, well, here are a lot of allusions. Food, life-sustaining bread from heaven lands on the ground. The real true manna from heaven, Jesus, is born in the house of bread. And so once again, it's sort of a taste and see that the Lord is good. He is the true sustenance, the true life giver, the supernatural bread of heaven. And there's our leap from one bit of tobacco frost to bread. Maybe some people have said that certain tobaccos actually taste like bread. I haven't tasted a bready tobacco, but when I do, we'll be back. So until that time, happy Advent, happy Christmas, Merry Christmas. Have a good time enjoying the days that are left, and I hope you remember the whole time the reason for the season. The Christmas gift is all God's gift to us in the person of Jesus Christ. So have a great day. Have a great week. I'll make a second video sometime today, publish it today, and then we'll have it all caught back up. All right. God bless you, and we'll Pipe-a-Tarian out.